Oof. I've never drinking a whole one of these, actually.
What is it?
It's like Blackberry Steel Reserve, if you want.
I'm good.
It tastes like an energy drink, but it's not.
Blackberry?
Yeah, I guess.
But it's a beer. Is it a beer?
It's malt liquor or high gravity, whatever the fuck that means. I don't know.
Have you had it
Gets you
before?
drunk. I've had Steel Reserve before. I've tasted it before. Steel Reserve gets you drunk. That's right.
Oh, I was just saying high gravity means gets you drunk.
How many flavors?
2. Steel Reserve and that.
Yeah, this is the only like.
That's number 2.
They usually just do like regular malt liquor.
And then that's just blackberry.
I'll figure to try it.
It's okay. It smells good.
Probably smells better than it tastes.
So Labrat.
Labrat, yeah.
Why Labrat?
There's not much of a story behind it, really. I just, I went to a pretty big high school that had a lot of schools that fit into it, and like the whole first week I had a shirt that said Labrat, and I just wore it the entire time. And so that's pretty much where I got it. It stuck. I didn't contest it.
How long ago was that?
I'm just turned 26, so that was back like, must have been like 2002. It's a long time.
12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm still getting used to like high school being a long time ago. Just coming out of that like adolescent phase still.
Did you go to high school in Chicago?
Not in the city, out in the suburbs. At Stevenson High School. Yeah.
But Stevenson is the town.
No, Stevenson is just the name of the school. Adelaide East Stevenson. It's in Lincolnshire.
Okay. And then how long have you lived, or did you live in the suburbs? Have you lived in the Chicago area your whole life?
Most of my life. When I was like 9, my family, my parents split up, and my mom and my sister and me moved from Minnesota, and then my dad split down to Peoria, which is not terribly far.
You still see them both?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just came back from his house a couple days ago.
Cool. It's very relaxed. No setup, just random questions.
That's cool.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? Oof. It's a very broad question. I don't know. I mean, I'm into music. Music is my thing. So just like, I don't know. Different musicians, different people that just kind of do their thing. They're their own like individual person. They're not trying to like be anything but who they are.
Right.
And people that, I don't know, do that kind of inspire me a little more, especially like people that make music that nobody else likes except me and like maybe 10 other people. And they do it anyway.
They do it just to create.
Yeah, they do it, you know, for themselves and a few other people if they decide to listen.
Favorite kind of music?
I'm into pretty much across the board. I mean, I'm in a marching band, like a punk band with a saxophone, like I played in noise bands, and like I'm really into like Balkan and klezmer, like kind of Eastern European style brass music, and like New Orleans brass and metal and punk and jazz and pretty much everything.
What can you play?
Instrument-wise, or
instrument-wise?
Saxophone is my main one. I'm a drummer. I was a drummer for a while, but I was always too broke to have my own kit. But I lived in like a bunch of punk houses, so there was always one around.
A punk house?
Yeah.
What is a punk house?
Like little collectives and squats and stuff. There was just like musicians and random like activists and punk kids that hang out there.
What's a squat?
A squat?
I have no idea.
A squat is in any like abandoned building that people decide to kind of co-opt for their own use and live in it and make use of the space.
Did you live in a squat?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
I lived in a few, some more on the level than others.
On the level.
Yeah.
So lost in all this. Okay, so what is on the level?
Well, the first one I really stayed in, or like the first like actual squat that wasn't the, like, you know, wasn't just like a house that felt like a squat that was just like a mess, but was an actual like no one was paying rent there. Was a pretty It was a pretty lax situation. It was my friend Tony, who was a little bit older. He had grown up in Pilsen his whole life, and his dad had owned the house that he grew up in and pulled some shady shit with the mortgage, I guess, and like fled the state. And so they foreclosed on it, but they let him stay there. And so then like me and my friend Shadow started staying there too, and just like got mail there. And they weren't, the bank wasn't doing anything. They knew we were there. They weren't trying to kick us out, and we were there for like he had been there for, I want to say 10 years, or like something close to that. Like
After it foreclosed?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were there for like a year.
And then finally...
Eventually, yeah, they came through, and someone, I don't know, it ended kind of questionably. Like either the neighbors or the cops kind of pulled some weird shit, and there's, I don't know, some situation where either someone opened the door or the front door was open, and they checked it out and just like went through the house one time and was just like, oh, well, saw all our stuff, but nobody was home, and so they were like, well, obviously no one's living here. And so they slapped a big orange sign on the, no trespassing sign on the door.
But you got your stuff out?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we were allowed to stay. Well, we weren't supposed to be in there after that, but we ended up like settling with them, and the bank came in and decided to pay us a certain sum of money to move out, so that was cool.
Wow.
I made like $600.
You said on the level.
Yeah.
So
then there's like, I don't know, other situations. Like actually the place I was moving before I moved in here was a little bit just kind of like, this apartment was open, vacant for like a month, and we, my friends got a tip from their friends who were living above them. It was like, hey, this awesome apartment underneath us that no one's living in. And so they started getting like bills in their name and stuff, and like turned on the electricity there and the gas, and like got proof of residence, and then moved in afterwards. And we kind of like set up shop there that was probably a good 7-8 months. I lived there for 7-8 months. They were there for like another 3 months, I think, after that. And that was a little more like the property managers were constantly like trying to get us out and intimidate us. And
is that scary?
A little bit, yeah. But at the same time, we know that, they're not going to do anything too stupid, because it's like, it's bad publicity for the bank. And
wow.
But that was a little bit more of a hectic situation.
And then how did you end up here?
I've known David for on and off for like a couple of years, but more like, more than a couple of years. But then since I joined EE a couple of years ago, which I'm sure he's talked about, we've like gotten to know each other more. And then he put out a Facebook post saying, I need a roommate. And I was like, I need a place to live where I can like actually concentrate, where there's not like 7 people like sprawled out drunk on the floor every night.
Does it help you with creating, with like music?
Yeah, it's because I have my own space, and it's a more quiet environment. I feel like I've been fairly productive since I moved in.
Good.
Been arranging a lot, and like I spent the winter working on a solo project that I'm trying to release this summer. That's,
like a CD, or what would they call it?
Like a CD.
LP?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just putting it out myself. I mean, I'm just like recording with Audacity and like borrowing equipment to record, and that's what I've been practicing in there. Because I have to learn all the parts on all the different instruments, so it's been kind of a pain. But
how many different instruments?
4, 5 technically, but really 4.
And you do all the parts? I
do all of them. Yeah, it's a bass, guitar, drums, and then 2 different saxophones. So I'm excited about it. This should be good.
What is your biggest fear?
I have more irrational fears than rational ones, I think. I don't like heights or spiders or centipedes. I'm generally have a somewhat dormant paranoia about me all the time. Like, I have trouble trusting people, but it's not something that like interferes with my life or my relationships or anything. It's like something I can identify and kind of keep at bay. I don't know if I'm really, I'm not really afraid of too much. I'm kind of, I don't know, doing exactly what I want to do, so that's pretty comforting. Like, I'm living my life.
Right.
I'm kind of living the dream, I feel like. I'm playing music all the time, and I get to travel all over the place and play and do a lot of cool stuff.
What do you think causes the paranoia?
I don't really know. Overactive imagination, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, it's hard to say.
Um,
It's always kind of been there. I've always kind of like projected on people and not really, feel like I'm fucking up in social situations or like, making a bigger deal myself than it actually is, or anything, if anything's even wrong. Which, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people probably do that.
yeah, I think so.
But that's the only like route I could imagine.
How did you become part of environmental encroachment?
I became really good friends with this guy Bob Leone and started playing music with him, who he actually lives at the orphanage where like God's Closet and all that is. He lives there now. But I started playing with him, and he used to play sousaphone in the band. And so through him I kind of met Kale, who's flute, trombone, kind of jack of all trades in that band. And then and then I just kind of I snuck in kind of because I showed up to a show. I was coming from a show that one of my other bands was playing to an environmental encroachment show because I'd been seeing them on and off for a few years, and I was really into them and really liked them. And I went up to her and just asked her if I could play with them. I knew she was going to say yes because she's Kale and it's her nature. Very carefree. And then so I just I got on stage and played with them, just kind of bullshitted my way through the set and kind of dropped out at a lot of parts that I didn't know if I didn't know what was going on, which was a good portion of it. And then Mike Smith, the band leader, and a couple other people invited me to practice afterwards.
And how long have they been around?
They've been around since in one form or another since '94. They started out as like a puppeteering troupe almost, or like a performance art group, and kind of gradually turned into a marching band.
What's been your favorite part of being a part of environmental encroachment?
For me, I think the Honk Fests have been really amazing. That's like almost, if I had any kind of religion, it would be Honk Fest. It's something I'm really, really, really into, and it's very rejuvenating.
What is Honk Fest?
It's a festival that happens 3 times a year in different places throughout the country. In Boston, Seattle, Austin, Texas. And it's just all the weirdo random marching bands, freaks from around the country, in the same city. And it's, it's not a competition. There's no, everyone's really into each other's bands, and, the musical, artistic solidarity between everyone there is, really awesome and really amazing thing.
How do you feel about selfies?
Selfies? I feel kind of weird about them, to be honest.
Why is that?
I don't really take them. I don't know. It doesn't speak to my personality, I don't feel like.
Ever? Why would?
I've taken one, I think. Cause
one selfie? That's
yeah,
it?
it was on Day of the Dead, and I'd just gotten back from a march. And I just looked awesome, I thought, and so I took a picture. And it's on Facebook now. But that's the only one I've ever taken.
That is it, really?
I usually just, I don't know. Because I'm generally a modest person.
Next to you.
I don't like to, I don't mind attention being drawn to me, but I don't
want to put it on yourself.
I don't initiate that, really. And I feel like I don't have a problem with other people taking them, but it's not something that, I don't know, meshes with my personality, really, for me to do.
Okay.
Technically, that's not a selfie.
Because you didn't take it.
I didn't take it.
You should take it. Here.
All right.
You gotta push the button, and then
Group
this will be your
selfie.
second selfie.
Of just myself, or? Okay.
Well, it's a selfie because even if I'm in it, it's a selfie, I think. Cool. And then he's gonna take something and grab it.
I was gonna group selfie you guys, but kind of missed that.
Very cool. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have
I
no.
was still making.
I have
the
no
face.
shutter sound.
Very cool. Thank you.
So I could get it.
I think that counts as a second selfie.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't mind taking pictures with people. I don't mind people taking my picture. I just,
Not you, just like by yourself.
if I look, remarkable enough in reality to have a selfie, then someone will take a picture of me.
Of course.
I don't really, get done up or anything unless I'm going out. I usually just lounge around and do whatever if I'm staying here.
If you could give Madonna any advice, what would you give her?
Oh, Madonna. I don't know that I know Madonna well enough or know. It's like I don't know her,
Right.
She's doing her thing. I don't even know that much about Madonna. I've probably heard like 4 Madonna songs.
Really?
Probably more than that, maybe, that I wouldn't realize. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you Instagram?
I don't.
Ever Instagram? You've never had it?
No, I've never had it. I almost would like to, but I don't really take pictures that often. I don't have a camera. The camera on my phone, I don't have a smartphone or anything, so the camera on my phone is pretty shitty, so, it'd be a little bit, I don't know.
Crap.
Yeah, it'd be a really shitty Instagram. But I don't know, lots of like shitty, like low resolution pictures of like my friend's cats. And, that's about it.
What makes you happiest?
What makes me happiest?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happiest, I feel like, when I'm playing music with people. Just like jamming with people. More like just kind of jamming. Performing is fun, but just to like get like into another musician's head, like, and you guys are just kind of like trading off and like doing all kinds of weird stuff. I feel like, I don't know, I'm better at communicating through music than through like language, really. I haven't really mastered. Or I feel more comfortable.
When did you
It's like-
pick up your first instrument?
Not till I was like 12 or 13, I picked up the guitar, which didn't last too long because I wasn't that serious about it. My parents said I've always been really into music, but was kind of, not really disciplined and didn't really have an interest in like performing or anything when I was younger. So my parents kind of tried to steer me in that direction, and I don't know, didn't really work out, but I found it later.
And then when was that? When did you become serious about it?
Not really. When I was like about to finish high school, I started kind of jamming with my friends on like bass and guitar and stuff. Like nothing serious really. Like he was in another band, and like so he had all these instruments in his house, and we started jamming. And that's when I kind of was like, wow, this is sort of fun. I kind of wish I would have taken this more seriously. And then like I started traveling with some like anarcho-hippie types and like, busking on the street randomly with like what little skills I had and like drumming on random stuff and like jamming with them, and so it just kind of learned very organically from there.
What is busking?
Like street performing or
What is it called? Busking? Why?
yeah.
Why, what is
I don't know where it came. I don't know where it
Okay.
comes from. It's just
busking? Okay.
a word people made up. I don't know.
How long have you? Is it busked?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you busked?
Probably since before I should have been busking. Just like, well, no, I would go out. My friend Jason and I would go out. Who I still know and hang out with. He lives down the street, and we're in a band together. But he kind of, I don't know, inspired me to play a lot and like learn a lot of instruments and do all that. And he's been a guitar teacher for like years and years. Has been playing for a long time. And so we would just go out, and like whoever else wanted to go, and like go out to Wicker Park, which is like the big bar area, the big like kind of hipster weirdo area in Chicago, where everyone goes, and just like get out on the corner and just like fuck around and bang on whatever and just have fun. And so we started doing that. I mean, he was doing it, for probably a few years before that, maybe longer, but it's like late 2006 when I met him, and really like early 2007 when I like moved to the city and like moved in with him and like all those those people.
Does it get scary? Like to perform in front of people, like
It's
in that setting, like on the street?
it's different. It's strange to like perform for people that like aren't interested in you.
Right,
Like,
you don't know if they're gonna like it.
you
or
know,
not.
if they have an opinion on you at all, like at first it might even just be like, oh my god, like, you know, people that don't appreciate it. But I kind of I don't know, you have to learn to just like kind of get out and play and like try to pretend no one's there, which is pretty difficult.
Right, you're surrounded by people that
Like,
may or may not like you or your music or whatever you're doing.
I think there's some like you know, saying that like jazz musicians have or something that I read somewhere. It's like there's like two different, you know, you have like 2 different levels or 3 different levels. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like, you know, how you're practicing. Yeah, it's like how you have 3 different like skill levels. Like one is when you're practicing, the other is when you're playing with people, and the other is when you're playing in front of people. And it's just like, you know, it gets progressively harder. Because, you know, if you're just like in a room by yourself, there's like no pressure at all. I feel most comfortable playing with people, I think. But then, you know, like you try to let go of and not pay attention to like the people around you and not let them affect you, but it's like impossible.
So it still phases you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good practice for that reason. Because, you know, I basically when I'm out there, I just get paid. I went legit and got like a performer's permit. I go out every now and then.
Really?
To downtown. Yeah, just take the stacks out and basically practice, play a couple of songs that people will like and a bunch of songs I like. And just kind of...
How much are
Oh, yeah.
performers permits right now?
They're $100 for 2 years, which is really not that bad.
Right.
If you're serious about it, you can make it back. Like I've gone out like 2 times this year and made probably like around $70 or something.
By yourself?
Yeah. And if I was more serious about it, you know, I could make it back in like a couple of days. I was just out for like a couple hours at a time. But yeah.
Where's your favorite place in Chicago? Not necessarily to, what's the word again?
Busk?
Busk. Not necessarily to busk, but to just be your favorite place in Chicago.
There's this big abandoned like silo network, like grain storage facility that people call the Sky Factory. I used to like to go hang out there, and like me and Jason, that guy Jason, and like some other people recorded like a noise jazz industrial album there.
Really?
And it's just this really cool place that, like, you know, hasn't been used for like 50 years. It's really hard to get around now because actually for the Transformers movie they blew up like one of the bridges that like lets you get from one building to the other, and like people have been scrapping the stairs for a while on and off, so it's just when I started going there it wasn't that dangerous getting around. Like, you know, it's like you go up it's like up like 5 stories or something, and like some of the landings were missing, you just have to like navigate around them, and then now it's like the stairs are like, every time I go there it's like more and more are gone. And now like if you want to go to the really cool sounding room, which is where all like the, you know, big concrete like silos are, like the sound in there is really amazing. You have to just like climb basically a 5 or 6 story ladder, which is horrifying.
Of course.
So
Yeah,
I did that once and I haven't been back yet, but I really would like to go back.
Do a lot of people go?
Yeah, it's kind of a legendary spot. It's like a lot of taggers go there, like graffiti artists and just kind of people that are bored and want to hang out somewhere. It's a relatively well-known spot. I think the south side has a lot of I definitely prefer the south side because there's a lot of like, yeah, just like weird industrial parts and like kind of run down, like pretty.
The south
things
side
to
of
look
Chicago.
at. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the north side's kind of like the more like I don't want to generalize, but like
No,
where like a lot of
generalize. I
like
think you should
yuppies and suburbanites live and
Yeah.
stuff, and so it's more, which is whatever. It's, you know, they're doing their own thing, but it's like kind of more polished and clean. And
So if there's a north and a south side, north versus south side, you choose south side.
I would choose the south side.
But nothing to do with sports. Or would
No,
it be? Because
I'm not really a big sports fan. When I was a kid, I used to be a big Bulls fan, but that's, you know.
that's neither nor.
Yeah,
Right,
neither,
right.
yeah.
It's like If there was another basketball team, maybe, but there's only one.
Mm-hmm.
Football, there's only one too, right? The
Yeah.
Bears and
Yeah, it's
the
just baseball. We have two of them.
baseball is where
And the
is.
White Sox play like basically down the street, so this is Sox country.
Do you prefer the Sox over the Cubs? If you were gonna watch sports, or you don't care?
I don't care. I mean, I grew up in like the north suburbs, so like most of my family, if they do have a preference, which I don't even know if they do, are like Cubs fans, but
Very cool.
I'll go. You know, I've been to Comiskey Park. I've been to Wrigley Field. It's just like if I can get a free ticket or something, it's something to do.
Right. What was your favorite place to perform?
I kind of like performing in just like random places. Like that's one thing about environmental encroachment that is really cool is we can just kind of bombard anybody anywhere and just kind of like burst in and
And then you're just there.
yeah. I like the guerrilla aspect of performing. I think that's kind of like why I like street performing is because it's kind of like a less intense version of that. Of it's just kind of like bringing your art just out. You know, people don't have to seek you out.
Right.
And just kind of adding to the like atmosphere of the city.
Do they have a website?
Environmental
Yes,
encroachment does, yeah.
What is it? Do you know?
It's encroach.net.
Encroach.net.
Like, I'm sure David or one of us could give you a business card.
Do you guys post your new next events or where you're planning on being?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's I haven't been on the site in a while. I don't have much of a reason to go there because we have
Right.
like our email list and all that. But yeah, there's sites that we months in advance sometimes, depending on what we have lined up for sure. Like it'll all be up there.
What would you change about the world if you could change anything?
If I could change one thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of something small that would like that causes a lot of other problems. I don't know. I think I kind of wish people would just be more empowered and more kind of have more faith in their own brain and think for themselves more. I think that's a root of a lot of problems.
I think so too. I agree.
Because naturally, I mean, there's always going to be like more dominant people and like people that are more comfortable following like whoever. But I think like with, I don't know, you have a lot of people that are like, take advantage of that and like it's where a lot of like racism and like homophobia and like transphobia and all that comes in. It's like these stigmas that are super old that are just held together by like stubborn people.
Mm-hmm.
And then people don't, a lot of people that just aren't exposed to like people of color or queer people just like don't know, that's all they hear about it.
You think that's why people hold back from putting themselves out there, or?
I think that might be part of it. And I'm kind of trying to overcome that too, because I'm definitely like I'm not an alpha personality at all, but I'm trying, I feel like I have skills in certain areas, like, and experience in certain areas that I can be of service.
Right.
But I try not to like dominate projects for that reason, because I like people to have an opinion that I'm working with.
Kind of balance.
Yeah. I try to just like be a proponent of like empowering people to like do what they want to do, or like trust their own, like develop their own school of thought and kind of do their own thing and figure it out.
What did that for you, or what has done that for you the most? Empowered you?
It's kind of hard to say. I think I mean, I've been involved in like the punk scene here, and I think that's a big part of like the punk mindset is like, at least from a musical perspective, from a musical perspective, it's just like, it's okay if you're not like an amazing musician. You shouldn't be afraid to like get up and perform in front of people. Like you have to, you